Hey everyone, we are live with another LinkedIn Live 99 Cent Kindle Flash Sale organized by our friend Robbie Samuels, who is an expert in marketing ebooks, and he has put together a group of 30 or so fantastic authors who have published their books through Amazon, as I understand everyone's through Amazon, and we're going to talk about our books. This is like a behind the scenes get to meet the author kind of thing. So we'll do a little Q&A. And if anyone in the audience has questions, you can type it in, whether you're watching us live through YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, we got you. All right. So my name is Eric Lucrezia. I'm American, as you might guess from my accent, but I'm living here in Paris, France, and I am an MBA admissions consultant. And I work with people all over the world applying to MBA programs. And my book that is featured in this Kindle Flash Sale is called Getting into an MBA in the USA. And it is one of 5 books, country-specific books in a series that we're going to talk about today. And I want to pass the torch to Karen to introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Karen Kaufman. Our company is K Partners. I am in Philadelphia. My book is called Magic, Making a Good Impression Count on and off the golf course. Our business is a niche business. We specialize in how impressions link to relationships and link to leadership success. And we've designed proprietary tools to help professionals elevate their executive presence and leadership.
Excellent. I love it. I'm really curious to hear about this book. Sophie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Sophie Lechner. I'm in New Jersey, and I'm a marketing coach for entrepreneurs who hate marketing. My book is Unlock Your Impact. It's also right behind me there. And it's really for mission-driven entrepreneurs who have a mission inside of them. They have an impact they want to make, but marketing is totally getting in the way. It's messing with how they interact with the world. And this book is a methodology for them to do marketing that is aligned with their mission and their themselves and their personality.
Awesome. I think we all could use a little guidance on marketing things. Krystal, you're up.
Good morning, I'm Krystal Hille. I'm based in Australia. It's 6:30 a.m. in the morning here, and I work with entrepreneurs, particularly coaches, healers, and speakers, to help them write their business books or teaching memoirs. And for that purpose, I have written a book called The Aligned Author, A Writer's Odyssey Towards Momentum and Mastery. And it came out of this problem that I saw with my clients who really get sabotage themselves. So it's a way to help overcome self-sabotage in the writing process. I love helping entrepreneurs right from the idea creation, overcoming all these questions. Who am I? Am I good enough? Can I write to the finished book, to be a bestseller on Amazon?
Awesome, Krystal. Well, thank you for joining us so early, all the way in Sydney, Australia. So yeah, I have so many questions. I mean, so Karen, I got to ask, what was the inspiration for your book? I mean, combining golf and it seems like networking or presenting. Tell us about it. What was the inspiration there?
So I've been in business as an executive coach and consultant, working with people on their visual presence, their vocal presence, their verbal presence. And I always wanted to write a book. A lot of my friends are authors, and I thought, gosh, if they can do it, I can do it. Golf is my hobby. I took it up at age 40. And someone once said to me, if you weren't in your field, what field would you be in? And I said, something golf related. So then as I was listing out all the things that I could write about, I remembered that I did a program for high school students a number of years ago called Magic, Making a Good Impression Count. So then I had the brainstorm on and off the golf course. So the course I took was about writing a short, punchy, provocative book. So I challenged myself to take the lessons I've learned and have coached with clients for over 25,000 hours, and I've led over 1,500 programs. And I wanted something that it's hole 1, hole 2, hole 3, up to 19 holes, so I don't have chapters. And then at the end of each of the short chapters, there are 3 magical nuggets that can help you gain greater personal power in your life. And if you embody them, it will make your day better and your life better.
Okay, so that's the magic, is in each hole you're going to learn some three things, actually.
Yes.
Wow. And so what are some of the parallels between golfing and what the main subject is at hand here?
Well, what I saw once I got into golf is that the way people behave on the golf course is the way they behave off the golf course. So in 4 hours, you can learn about someone's temperament, their concern for other people, how they deal with unwanted emotions, how they interact with other people, their etiquette. And I just saw so many parallels. I really had to write about it. And also, one of my commitments is to get more women on the golf course. And so when I think about my ideal reader, the book is for golfers and non-golfers alike. I have a particular commitment to help women equal the playing field because as an executive coach, I used to hear my women clients complain all the time. The men are out on the golf course and we are stuck in the office. And at age 40, that's what had me say, as a business executive, I've got to at least be able to talk golf. I didn't realize, and I'll end with this now, that I would love it and be an advocate for getting more women out on the course and contributing some of my proceeds and donating speaking engagements, because I've been a professional speaker for decades, to contributing to women that wouldn't be able to play golf unless they had some kind of resources.
I love it. First of all, the women empowerment thing, absolutely supporting that. And second of all, there's that adage. It's like, how we do some things is how we do all things. You know what I mean? I have this friend, Laura, back in the States, really good friend of mine. And she likes to drive, but what she does, what she did before she got married, when she was dating, she would always insist going for a drive, wanted to see how the guy was on the road. Was he somebody who was courteous to let other people pass? Was he like aggressive and so on? Did he get road rage? Does he know how to merge? Like all that kind of stuff. And it says something about you, you know? Very interesting. I love it. I want to ask Sophie some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Please tell us, Sophie, what led you to writing your book?
Yeah, so I really was not initially planning to write a book, but as I went from the corporate world into the entrepreneurial world, I realized, even though I had been a global marketing professional for a couple decades, when you do marketing for yourself, it's quite different. So I learned marketing for your own business from just the gurus out there, just the marketing professionals that are out there, promoting their wares. And I learned a lot, but there was also a lot that I didn't like. And there were a lot of things that I was told to do in marketing that I did not appreciate, that felt manipulative, scarcity, funnels, templates, 7-step processes, all this stuff. It just didn't feel right. And in parallel to this whole period of time, I had started playing with LinkedIn. And I say playing because honestly, for over a decade, I just got on the platform and it was just a hobby. It was for fun. It was meeting people from all over the world, which is something I had done all my life. And so I was just having conversations about all kinds of topics that I enjoyed. And gradually, as I started my own business, I realized LinkedIn was an incredible platform for business, and I was getting business successes. So I had this marketing that I was being taught to do that I hated. And then I had this LinkedIn that was actually bringing me some of the results, partners, visibility, all kinds of things that I wanted from my marketing. And I thought, what is going on here? What's happening? And I figured out the key principles of what I was actually doing that was bringing me joy, which was fun, but that was also working towards my marketing. And once I had this system and I was using it with my clients and they were getting successes and they were starting to love their marketing, I said, I can't just keep this to myself. I have to get it out there. And a book seemed like the best way to do that. So it was actually a great project to clarify all these ideas and to put them all into a system that I call the magnet model, and that's what I captured in my book. So that's how it came about.
Awesome. So let's dig into that a little bit more. How is your book that talks about marketing different than loads of other books out there already?
Yeah, so a lot of the books that exist already are about a marketing system that has worked for those people who are writing the book. And that's what a lot of the marketing out there that is being sold to entrepreneurs is about, is, I did this thing and it took me, this is between the lines, it took me 10 years, but let me teach it to you. And in a month, generously, you will get, 100,000 a month, income, whatever. So what people are selling are processes and systems, and that doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So what I do in my book is I encourage entrepreneurs to go back to the center, to who they are and what it is they believe in. I have a whole chapter on your manifesto, and I feel it's really important to explain to people what it is that you are about, because we are always chasing differentiation, but we are different by nature. And so going back to our story, our mission, and that's what makes us different, we can figure out what it is that we want to do in our marketing that will be successful. And it will be successful because it will attract our clients like a magnet. So there's a number of principles in there, but that's the main thing. Is it's not a formula, it's a roadmap. It's called the Roadmap to Magnetic Client Attraction for Entrepreneurs Who Hate Marketing. So it's not a formula, it's a roadmap to look inside of yourself and find the marketing that works for you.
That sounds like it. It sounds like it's like a good dose of self-awareness and staying authentic to that.
Absolutely.
I just want to remind our audience that all of us here today, as well as the other 30 or so of us in this flash sale, all of our ebooks up until I think midnight, I guess probably California time, are on sale for 99 cents, marked down from various prices. My books are about $10 for the ebook, 20 for the paperback. But yeah, the prices are going up. So now tonight is the night if you want to grab your book. And I think several of us in the group this time have published multiple books, and I think that's your case, Krystal, right? I had a look at your author page on Amazon, and for everyone who's published on Amazon, there is such a thing as an author page. You can follow us. I'm following you, all of you. And Krystal, I've seen you've published a good dozen books, no? Yeah. So I mean, I've seen things that some look like fiction. There's something in the self-help area, and then kind of sharing your knowledge and wisdom about publishing and writing in general. So please take it away.
Thank you. Yes, I've done a lot of multi-author books or compilation books where I've brought together groups of people on a specific topic, so that entrepreneurs primarily, so that they could dip their toes into what it feels like to be an author and kind of get their nervous system used to that idea. And it's a beautiful way for those, many people have heard of these multi-author books. It's a beautiful way to collaborate, to get to know a group of people who are like-minded, to then create connections, collaborations out of that, but also gain the confidence to realize, oh my God, I actually have something to say. I have wisdom. I have a story, because I feel like a lot of the time that is an initial block, that imposter syndrome for people who are thinking about writing a book, who want to be perceived as an expert in their field, but have that hesitation, can I do it? So I love that progression from the multi-author books to also now helping people writing their own solo books. And lately I've created a program, a micro book magic, where people just create a 10,000 word book that comes out as all in one, because what I've realized is it is, for some people, it is a lot of work, and fitting it in is not always easy. And whilst I have tools to help them speed it up, and AI can help a lot if we're using it ethically, there is many ways that people can self-sabotage. And so in my book, this is really where the idea from my book came from. Seeing the self-sabotage and recognizing and being with people for long enough to understand patterns. And then Karen, I loved what you were saying. You were bringing marketing together with your passion. And in a way, I've brought my various careers together in this book. So I have a coaching background and I was a theater director. So I'm bringing all of that in. And Sophie, what you were saying, what makes us unique in who we are, and how can we bring everything that we love together into the offer, the service that we provide. And so this book kind of is birthed from that, because that's the approach I take as well with my clients. What makes you you in your marketing? What makes you you in your coaching? And I kept on talking to my clients about writing their story through the in the framework of the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, every movie is based on it, where we refuse the call, we accept it, we go on a journey of trials and tribulations to then come out renewed and transformed with the gift that we have. And then I realized that, well, that's the same for the author journey. And so my book is, the chapters in my book are based around the hero's journey and how the author is confronted with that. Because when we understand that it is an adventure and that it is a journey that will transform us, when we come against these tests and trials of overwhelm, self-sabotage, perfectionism, procrastination, we understand, I'm at this stage now, I'm in my ordeal. Oh, okay, yeah, I knew I would get there eventually. So now I'm here. Okay, what am I going to do about it? Rather than thinking, oh my God, this is only happening to me. I'm the only one who's procrastinating. And so the book provides, gives awareness and provides tools to overcome that, so that we come out transformed in a new identity, fully embracing and embodying our expert status.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, the hero's journey makes me think of, obviously heroes, whether it's plays, movies, series, they don't succeed every time. They have those failures, and there's that wisdom of, it's not about failing or not, it's about how you respond to those difficult situations. And it made me think about, I wanted to kind of dig into your theater background, and I wondered if, because it's the hero's journey, makes you think of like Greek classics. Are you doing plays?
I used to, yes. Yeah, I used to do a lot of Shakespearean plays, and I was working with the Royal Shakespeare Company in the UK when I lived there and did their education outreach. And I think it helps to have that storytelling background to really bring those stories out of people and understand how a good story is created as well.
Yeah, Sophie.
Speaking of stories, I would be very curious, Eric, to hear your story and how you came to become, the MBA candidate coach.
Sure. Thanks for asking. So I've always worked in education. It was kind of a surprise. I thought I was going to med school. I was a bio major, chem minor, and I was doing my internship, and I realized I couldn't handle blood. So med school was out. And so I was like, what am I going to do with this science major? And I was like, maybe I'll get a master's in education, be a science professor. So I got a job at Long Island University. I grew up on Long Island, right? Working in admissions there, and with the intention of becoming a professor, doing my degree for free because they had tuition remission. And I realized I loved working at a university setting. So I've kind of built a whole career working in academia. I've lived in a few countries. I've worked at schools in the States, Spain, Australia, and here in France for a while. And the last school I worked at was a business school called ESSEC. And I discovered the whole world of MBAs, which really lit a fire for me, because I find it so fascinating how people from pretty much any walk of life, any industry, any country could come to do an MBA to kind of catapult their career and take it in like so many different directions. They go into finance, consulting, starting a company, all these things. So I really just developed this passion for MBAs. And during COVID, I left, and as we were all stuck home, not knowing how long that was going to last, I put all that information, like getting into an MBA, into a book, and it was going to be just one. Until I realized I wanted to go beyond just getting in. I wanted to, hang on, let's talk about scholarships and loans and visas. And most of the people, not most, but a lot of people do it abroad. And so it's like, how to find an apartment in France and how to, where I live. So I did the first one about France, getting into an MBA in France. And then I did like the UK and the USA book, which is on promo today, and then Canada and Spain. So those are the 5 in the series. And it's been such a journey because for each book, I actually collaborated with people working in admissions office at these top schools in the respective countries. So it's not just me Googling stuff, right? It's a lot of it I knew already, but also shared with me from people who are professionals working at schools in those countries. That is like, this is what we're looking for in an applicant. So it's quite
so fun,
relevant info. Yeah, thanks.
And innovative. Very innovative. And I just love how each of us have found our internal magic and our internal gifts with the commitment to share it. So what the gift for me is in really the new relationships I'm forming. I bought each of your books. I look forward to reading them. I look forward to writing a review. I mean, I'm just realizing, since I'm so new at this, that the reviews are important. So sometimes people think my book is just for golfers. It's not. I use golf as simply a metaphor and my lens for teaching and just everything I've learned in over 3 decades in my career. And the relationships to me are like compound interest, right? 95% of my business has come through referrals. So this whole social media and creating a different kind of offer, because I've always worked one-on-one or one with a team or in speaking engagements, but really yet haven't developed a product for people that I don't know or didn't respond to me. So through reading your book, Sophie, I look forward to getting some ideas how I can broaden the reach and my impact, given that I have this whole body of work and tools.
Yeah, there's so much that you can share, and you're right. Business is based on relationships, and people who don't understand that are just never going to succeed. People who just look at Instagram and LinkedIn as a content machine and spitting out stuff and wonder why they're not getting clients, that's because they're not building relationships.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the tool, you have to be building relationships. It's the only thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've downloaded all of your books as well, and I've just started thumbing through them a little bit before I dive into it, actually. But I did notice one thing that caught my attention, Karen. What is exactly impression management? Can you give me a little sneak preview on that?
I can. So clients or potential clients used to call us and say, we have this person, very talented or very bright, but they need more fire in their belly. They need a little more polish. So they didn't quite have the words to describe, or they would say, they need more executive presence. Well, tell me what's missing. Well, I know it when I see it, but I really can't describe it. So my partner and I started doing some research. What are the key impressions that people need to communicate their character, communicate their integrity, communicate their value, communicate their professionalism? And there are 24 key impressions that we identify, and it's a brain-based system. So it's how our perceptions link to how we think, link to how we behave, and link to how we feel. So executives, for example, are paid for the quality of their perceptions. Operators are more about implementing certain things. So if you tell someone to change their behavior, yes, they can change how they feel. If you can help people think differently, they can behave differently and they can feel differently. But if you can alter someone's perception, so it's really about perception management. And I guess a simple way to describe impression management, it's one's intentional communication strategy, which includes how we look, how we speak, how we behave, how we treat others. So all of this is part of our system, and we've web enabled it, or it's digital now during the pandemic. One of our clients said, do you have a digital version ready to go to lead? Because we were leading globally. And we developed it. So now it's a 360 system where people put in their self-assessment of these 24 factors, and then they can get feedback from others regarding their role. So who they are in their role. So it's very specific. And then we link those 24 impressions to key relationships, whether relationships are casual, close, or committed. And most of us have more casual relationships, fewer close relationships, and even fewer committed relationships. And then we have a number of relationship tools as well that go along with our system. So it's a niche. It's a specialty. It's something that has intrigued me for decades. Since I was young, I knew that how we presented ourselves has a major impact on our success.
You know, it sounds like it was your maybe intuition as a younger person, that drew you to this. But it sounds like your approach, your company's, which is very science-based, it very much sounds like cognitive behavior therapy, where you're talking about changing behavior to thoughts to emotions. And, you know, as a former real estate agent, I can tell you people will buy emotionally and justify logically later. Very interesting. And the other part of what you were saying very much resonates with me when I talk about, you know, people getting ready to apply for an MBA program or other kinds of programs like, you know, masters or executive programs, personal branding. And you're talking about, in a way, an ensemble of very curated choices that how you present yourself, the way you speak, how your resume looks, how you dress, how you speak to people, how you show up in every way. And I talk about personal branding in three ways: in person, on paper, and in pixels. So it's like the paper is your resume. In person is like in-person meetings, campus visits, whatever. And in pixels, so obviously online, whether it's one of these things or your LinkedIn profile or any social media. So
I'm happy to send you my system.
Yeah.
As a thank you for putting this together. So I'd be interested in talking a little bit more about it. My master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania is in the dynamics of organization. So it's really the dynamics between people that fascinate me.
There's a lot of overlap between what all of us are saying right now. Sophie, if I can ask, like, I assume you're using this book in your coaching practice now. Can you tell us a little bit how?
Yes. So it's interesting because I've actually been using the principles in the book and the magnet model, for the last 4 or 5 years that I've been a LinkedIn coach for mission-driven entrepreneurs. So I've used them all along, but now they're official, so to speak, And so now I'm coaching entrepreneurs to do their marketing. So whether it be on LinkedIn, and I still incorporate in there, teaching people how to use LinkedIn and how to leverage it, but it's also the deeper principles of it, not necessarily on LinkedIn and not confined, if you will, to lead generation, but all the other parts of marketing as well. So I have some programs that I have started piloting. I'm on the second level, if you will, of programs. And I also have it's a mastermind / coaching, small coaching program that is an ongoing program. It's been going on for several years. And so I'm rolling the clients that I work with in these programs into this longer container where they really can apply the principles in the book, but really fine-tune them and tweak the strategies based on results and based on what they're seeing, work or not work out there. So it's a lovely community that I'm really enjoying, and that's the way I want to move forward. Is curating small groups and a community of entrepreneurs who work together and support each other. The program's called the Guild for that reason, because we all support each other in fine-tuning our craft.
I love it. I love it. There's a workshop I do often, either on campuses or even online. It's called Using LinkedIn Like a Pro. And it sounds like there's some things we could perhaps teach each other, and maybe have you as a guest on our podcast, MBA Waves. Our MBA applicants would probably love that. Sophie, before we wrap up this evening, Krystal, before we wrap up this evening, I wanted to ask you something that's a little bit personal on my side anyway. Before I started writing the MBA book series, I actually had this idea that I still am in love with. So this is over 5 years ago, and it's a science fiction story. And I haven't figured out if it's 3 books in a series or it's 1 book that has 3 sections. I have put a lot of ideas into it, a lot of research, some character development, but I haven't figured out how to write it. I don't know how to write dialogue. And I wonder if you could speak to our global audience. Is that something that you can teach, or is some tricks you want to share, or anything you want to speak to about that? Because you've written quite a few novels, I think. Yes.
I haven't actually written novels, no. I have written 1 play. So when I was at university, I wrote a play, and so obviously that is full of dialogue. How do you write dialogue? I think, I actually in my book there are, in the stories I do have put dialogue in, and I think it's. But I've never really thought about the underlying principles behind writing dialogue. I think it just comes naturally when you want somebody to have a more direct, you create a description, you set up a scene, and then we place the character in that scene, and suddenly they need to speak. And they might speak. I've specialized more on nonfiction, so I'm just going to draw on that. It's like sometimes I say, and I was thinking to myself, quotation mark, and you speak. You say it in the I format, and I think that actually for any nonfiction writer as well as fiction, this is a really powerful way to engage the reader when we let them into our brain, or the protagonist's brain, when it is that inner dialogue that we bring onto the page. Not so, the outer dialogue is fun too, but I'm particularly fascinated by the inner dialogue, because that really helps us. Karen, you were talking about it. What makes people tick? Why do they relate and why don't they? And if we want to improve our performance, we need to model not just behavior, but what drives the behavior. And so if we can, in our writing, share that and allow the reader to come into that level of intimacy or connection, that's very powerful, and that really engages us. That really lets us lean in. So I think that's a pro tip, slightly taking your question into a different angle, but pro tip in writing: allow the reader into your mind, into your thoughts,
and into your heart.
Into your heart. Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's touching all of those things, right? Mm-hmm. And then the reader feels connected to the author in some way. And that's a brilliant thing.
People often tell me when they read my book, they're like, it's as if you were talking to me. So that's one of the biggest compliments I can get, because it means I've really reflected my thoughts, the way I think them, and that it feels authentic. So I love that.
It's probably good to say, and then I said to myself, and then go. I've heard some authors recording themselves. They just speak for the character, or maybe if they're telling it in the first person, telling the story in the first person, and then recording it. And then, these days it gets so much easier with AI to just transpose what you've said. It's your words, it's your work. It's just getting it on paper or the screen, let's say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to ask a bonus question really quickly before we wrap up, because AI is everywhere. Since ChatGPT bust on the scene, I find myself in my education MBA business school world talking about AI a lot, whether it's for the admissions process as a student or even the job search post degree. And there's the whole bit about authenticity and artists and authors. Do you have any thoughts about AI and authors who might choose to use that to tell stories or make pictures, images?
Yeah, I think there's so much we can use AI for, and I think that the most important thing is to use it ethically and not just say it to AI. Write me a chapter about X, doing this. We need to have our ideas, and I think speaking it into a text, speech to text thing is really, really important, and then letting it transcribe and then just getting it tidied up, but in your voice. That's the really important thing. I see a lot of books or chapters or things written where people don't understand how to prompt AI to teach it how to speak in your voice, what certain words to avoid, what is your style. It's sometimes I find it's all the same and I tune off, but I'm teaching my authors actually how to code AI so that it sounds like them, and that's how I used AI for my book as well. Just using it as an editor more so than the content creator.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share some thoughts about AI?
Well, I thought, all right, I'll do an audiobook next. So when I called my company about it, they said, well, you can read 1 or 2 chapters, because I thought it was important that I read my own book. And they said, and then we have an AI version, not AI version. Once they hear me speak for a couple chapters, then they'll be able to do the rest. And I thought, I don't know that I want this. I don't know. It was scary to me that then people can be using my voice. So I'm using AI more as a thought partner right now. So I'll put in the points I want to make in a seminar or a speech, and I'll say, can you put this in bullet points for me? So I'm engaging with it like that. And it's only been a couple months, but I'm finding it a wonderful thought partner. I'm thinking about doing a TED Talk. So I started, brainstorming with it around the TED Talk. So I'm playing with it right now, but I can see the value already.
Right. We can make our own sandboxes that are kind of like exclusive to our voices. You can train it to sound like you. You can think about it as like a best friend that you confide in, but we have to be careful not to have emotional attachment to that friend, because it's not, right?
It's not a friend. May I just say one other thing? I put in our system, our impression management system, and I said, can you relate this to golf? And it came out with an incredible way. One was the clubhouse. It did my 4 quadrants and then gave examples. And I thought, this is absolutely amazing, because it has my book in there. It has my system. It has a lot of my work. And so in that way, it is like a creative thought partner.
Yeah, I use AI as well quite extensively. First of all, I did I read the first 4 chapters of my book aloud and recorded and edited, and then I did feed it in AI, and the rest of the book is up now, and it's not me who's read it, but it's not me who read it. It was AI generated. Everything.
And you feel comfortable with that?
It really does sound like me. Everybody I played it to said we can barely tell the difference.
Wow.
Only sound specialists could tell. So, and I haven't put it up on Audible and all those platforms. I just have it up on Substack and on Spotify, just as a good enough for now version. I will do a properly, read out loud version later. But I use AI, as you said, as a thought partner, but I've also created a series of tools that I have to say first, I created with my book. My book is very practical, and so I created a workbook that has a ton of questions and exercises and walks, helps you to walk through the whole process, so you come out at the end with a whole marketing system. And so I'm creating the tools for people to go through. I fed it my book, I fed it my workbook, and a ton of other content that I have. And I use those tools with my clients together. I have them, the AI generates all the questions that are all trained on my methodology. And it walks people through the questions and summarizes and creates content And so I'm piloting those tools and plan to monetize them. But it's going to be a combination of the tool and coaching to be doing it together. I don't want to leave people out in the open just following AI alone, because I think you need to be there to guide it to do the right thing along the way.
Yeah.
It gets a bit confused when by itself.
Someone said responsible use, and that's really key. I mean, it's interesting because I don't know, I've had this kind of prediction lately in my mind that within 15 years, like being AI fluent is going to be as like basic level of a skill expected, like speaking English.
Yeah.
When I think about like my brother who's got kids, he's got like a 10-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old, I think. And I'm like, give them the tools now, like get them into like coding and like learning prompts and all that kind of stuff. And yet at the same time, we need guardrails for our children to not form unhealthy relationships with the technology. Mm-hmm. So it's we're in a big, I don't know, it's the Wild West right now, right?
Yes.
Right. I don't want to go on and on about this. This is clearly very interesting, and so are all of you. But I want to just pop the website on the screen for this Kindle Flash Sale, which is why we're all here today. It's been great getting to know you and all of your books, and to hear what's gone on behind why you've written them and your respective businesses. So, guys, it's the last day if you want to get a book for 99 cents. And if not, well, we'll see you around.
And we could all use testimonials. I'm learning the value of testimonials as well. And they can be brief. Mm-hmm. And Sophie, you just gave me a business idea. I'm going to give you a call.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll be in touch. And Eric, thank you for putting this together.
Yes, thank you so much.
Krystal, your voice is just wonderful. I could listen to you all day.
Thank you all. It was wonderful to meet you, get to know the fellow authors in this a little bit more. And thank you, Eric, for putting this together. So amazing. And everybody listening, go grab these books. We're all, they're all just so unique and so wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Grab a book and write a review. Guys, are going to end the stream right now. Stick on the line, and thank you for all tuning in, and talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.